This is part 4 of our Link to the Past 100% walkthrough. In this part, we're going to do a little more dungeon or item collecting, rather. I'm sorry, we're going to end by going to a dungeon.
Yes.
Between here and there, we're going to get the Pegasus shoes, the Book of Mudora, 3 heart pieces, a ton of rupees, and the ice rod.
Just like part 2, we're doing a ton, but we're going to actually tell you what we're doing up front.
Exactly.
Instead of just going straight into talking
remembered this time
about the part. But one thing I want to mention is I'm very upset about the last part.
The dungeon wasn't that bad, Hick.
No. We had something that we really wanted to say, and we just completely forgot about when the commentary started. But that was actually the very first commentary video we ever did, Eastern Palace.
Yep.
And so it's kind of nostalgic going back to that and just like, 3 years ago and like how far we've come, and go listen to that first video and then listen to the last part and you'll realize how much of a change and how much we've improved.
We've learned a lot of things in the last 3 years about
we've
what
learned
we're doing
a lot,
here.
not what to do. Is what we've learned.
Hey, trial by error.
There's been a ton of trial by error in two guys playing Zelda.
But it is kind of a nice little, like you said, a nostalgia, not just for the game, for Link to the Past, but nostalgia for us because this is the game and that was the dungeon that we started with. It's just it's cool to go back and read.
And we started on this game because when we talked about it already, you can kind of beat it pretty quickly, but it's also the game that both of us knew really the best.
Yep.
That we've really played this game probably the most.
I'd say so.
I played Ocarina quite a bit, but this game, like as fast as you can go through it, I want to say I've actually played this game almost 10 times.
Oh, easily.
So
we've learned now to actually prepare before we. It may not sound like it sometimes, but we try to prepare.
What, our commentary or the actual recordings?
Both. Like I said, it may not seem like it sometimes.
You look at me. You can't see it behind the scenes. You're just like
all
both
the above.
You idiots.
But one thing I do love about this part, like we get the Pegasus shoes from
Sahasrara. I call him. Yeah, sorry. You're taking that from me now.
I am. I'm stealing it. It's Sahasrara or something like that.
I call him Sahasrara. I don't know if that's right, but kind of looking at the spelling, that's how it looks to me.
Yeah, but it's cool to get the Pegasus shoes this early on in the game.
Agreed.
Because it does make it quicker just getting around the overworld until you run into something, of course, and you bounce back like those bushes.
Yeah, that's the physics of that right there make no sense whatsoever. Now, like I said, we've had times in Zelda where the physics really don't make that much sense, but it is impossible to hit a bush like that and bounce off like that. Maybe if it's a thorn bush, the stabbing kind of makes you jump back a little bit, but actually, yes, you would, but that's just, I'm upset about that because that should just not happen, and also it kind of made me look a little silly, but oh well.
It's not the first thing in Zelda to make us look a little silly.
Dude, I hate those sword soldiers right there. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, actually. But like, just you have to kind of get to the side of them and just they're just a pain. And if you're like in a contained area, like they're actually kind of hard to get a hit on.
They can be. And one more thing about those Pegasus shoes, I love that on the Super Nintendo, and every version of Link to the Past, whether it's the Super Nintendo, Virtual Console, whatever, they're
all really the same.
They are. It has its own dedicated button on the controller, whereas like Link's Awakening and the other handheld, the other Game Boy Oracles, things like that, you actually have to equip it as an item, and
Minish Cap you do too.
Oh, it's just so annoying.
Well, okay, the Game Boy and the Color Game Boy makes sense because there was only 2 buttons.
Exactly.
How many buttons were on the Game Boy Advance? Do you know?
4. I think it was 2 plus the 2 R and L, the shoulder buttons.
See, now you could have used one of those for the Pegasus boots.
That's what I thought too.
Because I'm pretty sure that you actually had to equip that as an item on Minish Cap.
Too.
So I agree with you. It is nice to have its own designated button. It's a pain in the butt, like when you have to, like you said, equip those and use them and then take them right off and take them back or put them back on.
Annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Now, one item I'm not a fan of in the slightest that we just got while we were rambling about whatever we were rambling about.
I don't know what we got because I was not paying attention to the video. Oh, the Book of Mudora, yes.
I am not a fan at all. We'll use it several times. To get into several of the dungeons, kind of in a roundabout way.
And also get some items too. So it is very handy in the game. And it's actually required to beat the game, but
all it does is translate for you though. Like translate. I think they say it translates like Hylian ruins or
just Hylia or what's the language called?
Hylian.
Hylian.
Yeah, so it's.
I don't know if it actually said that though.
I'm not sure if it does either.
Can't remember.
Or just the ancient language or something like
something like that. So,
but it's kind of annoying because I look at it. There's a couple items we get in this game, and I won't spoil it too much, that to me just seem very unnecessary. Like they force it just for the sake of having it.
I think every Zelda game has some of those items that you're just like, well, did I even need this? Or two, why am I getting this here? But like
the
this
raft
game
in the original Zelda.
Yes, well, you actually need that though to get to the 4th dungeon, so that was necessary. But
you need the Book of Mudora to get in the second one.
The thing is, I don't think there's an item that really. Well, actually, we'll get in this part. I don't think that item you need, but like most of the items are required to go through the game. But like I said, they just some of the items are just like.
Could have done something
couldn't you have a better idea for that? So
it's just and like you said, we use it, but to me, it just doesn't really stand.
And we're not going to complain that much. I know we can complain about a couple things already, but we're going to talk for almost 29 parts about everything we love in this game.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, I got to throw in a couple things that you dislike.
Speaking of things we love, this was a really cool touch introduced in Link to the Past. That they maybe took to too much of an extreme in later games, changing the water levels.
It's funny you said that, actually. That's actually not changing the water levels, it's more changing the water flow.
Exactly, but like just being able to like...
So Great Bay Temple.
Yeah, I was thinking the water temple.
Yes, I knew where you're going with
it. But like being able to raise and lower the water levels by opening grates and a dam in that case, it was a really cool, and you see the way it affected the overworld, like the lake looked drained.
Yes,
And it was a really cool visual that, like I said, they definitely expand upon in later games, but having it introduced in this one was a really cool concept.
Well, at that time of gaming, it was just cool seeing something like that. You'll hear me say like these things that look really small that like were a big deal back then, but they were just like using a lever to break a wall and then you see water start flowing. That was just a really cool visual back in '92.
And it is cool because one of the dungeons we actually...
I hate Moldorms. I hate Moldorms and the way they move.
Hey, just wait till we fight one as a boss.
Yeah, those are actually the mini ones, so those aren't near as bad, but they still,
Now, like, the water level changing, though, later on in this game, not to spoil too much, but there's actually a dungeon kind of built around that a little bit.
Yes, there is,
that we love.
That is a very good dungeon. We'll talk about that, obviously.
Way later.
When we get there. Now, this thief right here, I guess he's paying for our silence.
I guess.
Because, like, you wouldn't think a thief would give you money, but then again, if you don't want people to know where you're at, I guess you are kind of paying for his silence
he's bribing us. He's bribing us.
Yes,
we killed his guardians, all those
Or maybe sold them really well. We could have sold them really well.
I guess. But it is cool, though, like, we mentioned...
Stupid Buzz Blob. You know what?
I hate those
I think that's the only time I do it, because from then on, I rarely use the Pegasus shoes through that area.
Especially in that area, but...
Oh, one thing, it actually is the Pegasus shoes in this game and not the Pegasus boots, which is really not important.
I think in Link's Awakening,
at all,
there's
so I don't know why I mentioned that. You know what? Just go ahead. I know I mentioned it.
I don't remember what the heck I was going to say now. Well, we're coming over here. Sahasrara had told us about an item.
3 years later, we still can't get it.
We can't get it, right. Had told us about an item all the way in, like, to the east of Lake Hylia.
And I didn't like that.
Which I feel like was way too much of a giveaway.
Yeah, like I said, I like the eggs because it kind of got the game started, but just like we would probably explore this place sometime during the game.
Exactly.
It just wasn't really necessary. In the look at the ice rod on the other side if you couldn't put two and two together, but it's an item that's not required. But I mean, I don't know. We just would have got it without his help. So
exactly. One thing I do love though about like these couple of caves we're entering here. Up until this point, the caves we'd seen had just been the brown rock. I actually really loved seeing these ice caves.
Makes no sense though. Like why that was there? Like absolutely no sense. Why is that one ice? Because maybe if it was like down a bunch of levels, it would make sense. But it's actually appears to be on the same level. So but,
it doesn't make any
minor
sense.
Complaints.
But minor complaints. But
we got to fill 11.5 minutes somehow.
Yeah, but it does look really cool at the time. Right now. Later on in the game, we're going to learn to hate rooms that look like this.
Yes, that is very true.
But for now, at least it was something different that we hadn't seen in the game yet. I mean, I know
it's the first time I believe we got the fairy fountain theme also.
I think so too.
I don't think we've been to a fairy fountain. We actually don't do that. I don't believe very much in this game because
we don't use a lot of fairies.
Well, yeah, because we practice.
We're pros.
We practice behind the scenes. We've learned from our mistakes of dying.
Speaking of behind the scenes, I'm going to go a little personal here. How about your wedding? Speaking of the fairy theme, was
wait, did we ever mention that? Actually,
I don't think we ever did.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a good story.
I'll let you tell the story.
Now we're really trying to blow 11 minutes.
Well, I thought it was a very nice touch.
No, it's a good point. Actually, my wife came out to the fairy fountain theme. Now I was a little drunk. And
you were thinking about other things.
I was drunk. I was also nervous and thinking about other things. And I was like sitting there. I was talking around. I was like, "Wait, that's the fairy fountain theme from Zelda." He goes, "Yeah, it does. It's been playing for like 5 minutes, but it was just kind of cool that she did that." And Red's the one that gave her the song to do so. Yep. Kind of a cool thing right there.
Behind the scenes.
My wife actually came out to that theme,
which I thought it was cool. So
I did not expect you to go that way.
We try to talk about ourselves a little bit behind the scenes here and there, but especially now we got a website with some personal info on it and all.
Oh yeah,
go check out our website.
This is the plug section of the video.
2guysplayingzelda.com. Yeah. Sorry, we're still trying to fill time here.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're making our way to that. I was like, when you said that second one, I was like, man, he's really trying to plug stuff.
I really am.
Although you really weren't plugging the fairy fountain theme. You're just kind of talking behind the scenes. But anyways, you can see we're kind of in the desert right here. You know, one thing I don't like, yeah, the color of it makes sense, but like, some sands or something would have been kind of nice.
It would have been. Plus, I don't understand. It looks like there's a bunch of dead cow skeletons out there. Or bulls.
Those look like bulls, man. That's actually like, why is a bull skeleton there?
It's kind of creepy.
Like, that's a theory right there. Like, why are there bull skeletons when we've actually never seen a bull in any Zelda game?
The closest thing we've seen, like in Twilight Princess, we had the, they're not called goats, but they're the things with the big horns we had to herd right at the very beginning.
I think they were called goats.
They may have just been goats.
I think they were goats, actually.
But they had some big horns on them. So maybe
there's a game in between Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time that they haven't actually released yet.
Maybe this
at this time, they were not thinking about something like that. But
it was like 20 years later.
I just find it very weird that it looks like a bull, and we've yet to see a bull in a Zelda game or like anything that looks like that.
Plus, I guess it does fit like the dungeon theme. There's like, something came out here and died. It's like, it's a desert.
That is true.
But
I was complaining about the sand. It isn't a big game. Exactly. You can't do everything that you want in a game.
Now,
so
I kind of like this little cinematic here used to open up the dungeon. I thought it was a nice touch. But this will go ahead and wrap up part 4 of our Link to the Past 100% walkthrough.